All right, boys and girls, this is Math Message 5-10, the main math lesson of the day. And in this lesson, we are going to be making sense of and solving number stories. But let's go ahead and get warmed up, have paper, pencil, or dry erase board ready, and let's do a few multiplication problems. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to solve both of these problems, and then I want you to be prepared to tell me how the top fact helps you solve the bottom fact. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, so 10 times 8 equals 80. And how could I use this fact to help me solve this fact? Well, if I know that 10 times 8 is 80, 9 times 8 is going to be less, right? And so I need to subtract a group of 8. So 80 minus 8 is 72. All right, go ahead and solve these two facts. Be prepared to explain how 2 times 7 helps you solve 4 times 7. All right, so 2 times 7 is 14. And I know that 4 times 7 is double that, right? 2 and 2 is 4. So anytime I multiply by 4, it's like a double-double. All right, so 2 times 7 is 14, so 14 and 14 is 28. All right, go ahead and solve these two problems. Be prepared to tell me how 3 times 8 can help you solve 6 times 8. All right, so 3 times 8. If you didn't even know what 3 times 8 was, you could, simply do 8 plus 8 plus 8, or you could think of 2 times 8, you know that 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 would just be an extra 8, so when I add 8 on, I'm going to get 24. So 3 times 8 is 24. 6 is double 3, right? So I can take my 24 and double it. 24 and 24 is 48. Okay, that would be like if I had a 3 by 8 and I knew that was an area of 24, and then another 3 by 8 is also 24, and then I put those two together. All right, so looking back at again what we're going to be working on today, we're going to be working on some number stories or word problems, making sense of them and being able to solve them. Now I know a lot of times we don't like word problems or number stories because, well, it's a lot of words, but really, it's very important for us to work on number stories because these are real life problems. It's not just a bunch of numbers on the page that we tell you how to solve it and you solve it. When you have a number story or a word problem, you have to figure out what to do to solve it. And that's real life. You're not always going to be told, hey, add these numbers together. Sometimes you need to figure out, do I need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? All right, so let's look at a couple real life problems. Well, actually, before I show you the problems, let me give you a few tips here. All right, first of all, when I have a word problem, I like to draw pictures to show what I know. To me, that's so easy to do. You just jot down whatever the problem tells you, whatever you know, jot that information down in a quick little picture. That's going to then kind of remove all of the words around it. Then look carefully at what you need to find out. Look at that question mark and read that question carefully. What are you trying to find out? Then you're going to need to decide what operation you'll need. A lot of times looking again at the picture that you drew and looking back at the question is going to help you decide if you need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide those numbers. And then last but not least, when you're finished solving the problem, always go back and think, does your answer make sense? Okay, a lot of times we skip this step and then we ended up adding when we should have subtracted or subtract when we should have added, and our answer doesn't even make sense for what we were trying to find out. All right, so I put a couple real life word problems up here. You know that I have a hobby farm. I have chickens and goats and sheep, and so I do a lot of math for my hobby farm. So here's an example of a problem that I might need to do. Now it says for my 16 chickens, I use about 4 pounds of feed per day. I buy 40-pound bags of feed. So how many days will my bag of feed last? So I want you to go ahead and I want you to pause the video. Hopefully you have paper pencil there. And I want you to think about this problem, jot some pictures down, and see if you can solve this problem. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you really gave this problem a try here. I'm going to jot down everything I know. So it says for my 16 chickens, well, I saw a number here, so I always just jot that down. I have 16 chickens. Now, I'm not going to draw individual chickens yet because I don't know if I need to, but this just kind of puts it out there in just a quick little picture that I have 16 chickens. It says I use about 4 pounds of feed per day. So I'm going to just put 4 pounds, and LB is an abbreviation for pounds, 4 pounds, and that's per day. Okay, so that's like saying day 1, I use 4 pounds. And it says I buy a 40-pound bag of feed. So I'm going to draw that bag of feed, and I'm going to say 40-pound, and I'm going to say feed on there, so I know that that's what that is. Now, there's all the information I know. Okay, and I just jotted it down in pictures. Then it says, how many days will my bag of feed last? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. How many days will my bag of feed last? So here's this bag of feed. I need to know how long it will last. How many days? Well, look, this was 1 day. Right? So I need to figure out how many of these, and I might keep going on and on, until I finally use up that 40-pound bag of feed. So now let's think of what I'm doing here. I am taking that 40-pound bag of feed and I am dividing it up, right? I'm dividing it up into 4 pounds each. And I need to figure out how many days that will be. Or I can kind of turn that around and I can figure out how many groups do I need if there's 4 in each group to equal that 40. All right, so if you didn't really get that far, or maybe your thinking was a little bit off, maybe go ahead and pause the video, give yourself some time to digest all of this and think about it and find your answer. All right, so I know that it's going to take 10 days, 10 of these circles to equal 40. And if I go ahead and finish this out, so I'll count this as my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I put 4 pounds each day, does that make sense that it takes 10 days to equal 40 pounds? Okay, and yes, it does. So my answer is 10 days. All right, so now, continuing on with this whole chicken feed idea, if I know that a bag of feed lasts 10 days, look at my next problem. It says each bag of chicken feed costs about $9. If a bag lasts about 10 days, like we just learned, how much will I spend in feed for 1 month? So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out this problem. All right, again, I'm going to write down what I know. Each bag of chicken feed costs $9. So I'm going to put a bag of chicken feed there and put $9. Okay. Now it says if a bag lasts about 10 days. So this bag of feed lasts 10 days. I'm just going to label that 10 days. How much will I spend in feed for 1 month? What information do I still need to know? Because I'm trying to figure out how much I'm going to be spending. So I know it's $9 for 1 bag. Well, that bag only lasts 10 days. So after 10 days, I'm going to have to buy another bag, right? Well, that's 10 days. Is that a month yet? So you've got to know how many days are in a month. Now, most months, well, some months have 30, some have 31, and February has 28 and sometimes 29 if it's a leap year, right? So to make easy math, let's just go with 30. So this is already 10 days. 10 days. I need to draw another bag, don't I? There's my other 10 days. So how much money am I spending in a month? Because now I have 30 days. So I'll bet you can clearly find the answer from this. What kind of math did you have to do to figure it out? I had 3 groups of 9, and 3 times 9 equals 27. Whoops, why did I write 24? I said 27 and wrote 24. There we go. So 27 what? $27 is how much I spend in fee per month. Okay. Now I could even go farther, and maybe I'll do this with some of you in class, and figure out if I'm actually making any money off of the eggs I sell based on about how many eggs the chickens lay per day. So maybe I'll make that another problem on another day. That would be a good one, right? All right, so now let's look at our workbook page. I'm not exactly sure what workbook page this is, but at this time in the year, you guys know how to find it. You know to look for lesson 5-10 and find the page that says Making Sense of a Problem. So go ahead and pause the video and get yourself ready. All right, so now let's look at this problem. It says there are 10 children in Maurice's baseball team. The coach gives each child 2 granola bars from a package of 24 bars. The coach gets the leftover granola bars. So how many granola bars does Maurice's coach get? All right, so when you stop and look at this problem, I need you to look again at what do you need to find out? Okay, this first part says, what do you need to find out? Look at your question mark and go back and see what you need to find out. How many granola bars does Maurice's coach get? Because he gets the leftovers. Okay. Now, I want you to use words or pictures to show what you know about the problem. So when you're drawing your pictures, here's what you know. You know there are 10 children on the team. So find a way to represent those 10 children. You know that the coach gives each child 2 granola bars from a package of 24. So actually, you know what? I'm going to do that in a different color. He gives each child 2 granola bars, okay, from a package of 24. And then he gets the leftovers. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to draw out pictures to show what you know, and then see if you can solve the problem. All right, so here's a picture for how my brain kind of solved this problem, okay? Again, I was drawing pictures of everything I knew. So the first thing I did was, because there were 10 children, first I just put a little box here and said 10 children. I wasn't sure if I wanted to draw out those 10 children or not. I needed to kind of figure out the next part of the problem. And it says the coach gives each child 2 granola bars from a package of 24. So since I needed to put 2 granola bars with each child, I went ahead and drew 10 circles to represent those kids. And then I went ahead, and you can see the part in blue. I know, oops, covered that with green. I know that I'm giving 2 granola bars to each kid. So I went ahead and I put a 2 in each of those circles. Now, I come over here and I drew a box of 24 granola bars and kind of just did some quick lines out there just to remind myself that I was taking granola bars from that box and giving to the kids. So that's kind of how my brain drew that out. Now again, my question is, how many granola bars does Maurice's coach get? He's going to get what's left in that box. All right, so now if you kind of were a little bit mixed up and maybe you didn't get this far, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can kind of retrace your steps and rethink this problem. If you got that far, let's just go ahead and keep going. All right, so now let's think about what kind of math I did. First, I did 10 groups of 2, right? You can see that drawn in the picture. Anytime I have a bunch of equal groups, I know I did a multiplication problem. So 10 groups of 2 equals 20. Now, 20 what? That equals 20 granola bars, right? Now, the next part of the problem is I know that I had 24 granola bars, and when I subtracted the 20, I have 4. And that is what's left over in the box. So my answer is 4 granola bars. Okay, so now let's look at another problem. Now this problem here you don't have in your workbook. If you were in class, we would be working on this as a class, and you would be working with a partner. If you're working from home, just work this problem out on a separate sheet of paper and then find out from your teacher if they want you to turn in that paper or maybe take a picture of it and submit it. Just find out from your teacher what they want you to do with that. But here's the problem. The problem is called button dolls. So Tanya is making button dolls for the school fair. On each doll, she uses 2 buttons for the eyes, 1 button for the nose, and 3 buttons for the clothes. There are 8 buttons in each package. Tanya needs to buy packages of buttons so that all the buttons will be used without any leftovers. So, how many packages could she buy, and how many dolls will that make? Okay, so now if you have this sheet in class, we have a little picture of a doll here, and we have a rectangle for the packages of buttons. You could use that. So if you're just doing a piece of paper, you could go ahead and kind of draw your little button doll and draw a package, and then put the information in there that you know. You know that on each doll she uses 2 buttons for the eyes, 1 button for the nose, and 3 buttons for the clothes. So those are the things that you would make sure that you draw in your picture. Then it says there are 8 buttons in each package. So in that package you could represent your 8 buttons. Now here's what you need to find out. Tanya needs to buy packages of buttons so that all of the buttons will be used without any leftovers. So how many packages could she buy? And how many dolls will that make? All right, guys, that is it for lesson 5-10. Go ahead and kind of write down all the information you need for this problem and go ahead and solve it. And then again, find out from your teacher what she wants you to do with your work. All right, that's it. See you next time.